Food Pies from All Things Florida here with the top 8 reasons why Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is not and will not be a failure. Now, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge opened at Disneyland in late May of 2019. It opened 3 months later at Disney World at Disney's Hollywood Studios. And initial reports are that attendance has not been up to snuff. And we already know that that's a fact at Disneyland and likely at Disney World. But let's go over the reasons why this is just a small picture in a much larger portrait. Number 1. Rise of the Resistance. The big ride for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge has always been Rise of the Resistance, where you get arrested by a troop of dozens of stormtroopers, get broken out, and then ride to your escape. I will not give any more details because the spoilers are awesome. And Rise of the Resistance did not open with the first phase of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. It will not open until December 2019 at Disney World and January 2020 at Disneyland. Disney had the whole rock park, whole 14-acre expansion ready for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, ready to go a couple months earlier than it planned, except for Rise of the Resistance. So it decided to open everything as first phase a few months ahead of time, and then save Rise of the Resistance for when it's ready. When it is ready, that is when we can judge the success, or lack thereof, of the expansion. It will be the flight of passage of Pandora, the World of Avatar equivalent. This is like opening Pandora, the World of Avatar, at the Animal Kingdom without flight of passage. Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, while clearly better than Navi's River Journey as far as intensity and I guess reviews, it is really the lesser ride. So people that are judging Star Wars Galaxy's Edge based on what they can experience right now as of early fall of 2019 are really only experiencing the B ticket ride, not the, well, I'm not going to, it's an E ticket, but we know how to reverse things around. The most important ride, which is opening later, months after the grand opening of both lands. Number 2, Blue Milk, and by association, Green Milk. So, every single opening, since Harry Potter over at Wizarding World of Harry Potter at Universal Studios with their butterbeer, needs that signature frosty beverage to set itself apart and make itself unique. Disney has that with Blue Milk, which is a beverage that Luke Skywalker actually drank in the original Star Wars. So, Blue Milk, which is a frosty beverage, it's part coconut, part possibly even pineapple. I don't know what's in it. No one really knows. And the Green Milk, which is more of a tea, citrusy-based frosty beverage, you get them at a milk bar. They sell them only there, one place you can buy them. And it's the one place, the one kiosk that's had a pretty decent line throughout the whole early days, even when the rest of the park seems empty. So it's definitely something that is becoming a cult item. Not exactly yet at the level of Disney's Dole Whips, which are, another cult item, but it's definitely getting there. Number 3, Okaz Cantina. So, the biggest hit so far in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is this bar. It's the Cantina. And no, it's not the same Cantina you know from the original series, but it's a close enough proxy with a lot of cool little interesting artifacts. And more importantly, for fans of the Star Tours ride, Rex, the pilot droid that takes you through the Star Tours, he is the club's chatty little DJ. So, the Okaz Cantina is the hot ticket to get in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. You really need a reservation to get ahead of time. You can sometimes luck in and get a standby or a same-day reservation, but it is the place where it is basically people are being turned away. And if you thought, well, how can a place fail when they're turning people away? Well, exactly. Okaz Cantina, and not only that, with Okaz Cantina they have unique drinks, one-of-a-kind bar snacks, and things are going so well at Okaz Cantina that a few months after opening, Disneyland actually raised its prices. And this is a place that 2/3 of the guests have to stand, and people are still lining up to get in. So beyond the Blue Milk, there are several one-of-a-kind food and beverage items to be had at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And we're talking about Coke products that are served in orb containers that may or may not be allowed to get through security at the airport on the way home. And of course, a lot of interesting items like at Ronto Roasters, which you do see while you walk by right by the Millennium Falcon, they serve this roasted pork sausage sandwich. Has a slight little spice kick to it, not very spicy, but different. It's not just a hot dog. And it's not really exactly an Italian sausage either. It's sort of a hybrid. Definitely a unique item. But more unique than that is if you go into Docking Bay 7, which is a place that, I'll be honest, I've been to Disneyland and Disney World's versions of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and I didn't even know it existed until like my 3rd or 4th visit, just because I realized there has to be some kind of food item, and I should have known better, I should have done more research. But sure enough, you walk in, and it's had some ribs, amazing ribs, served with a cornbread, and They also have stuff like Jip Jip, which is actually their way of, it's chicken, but it's like a chicken in a fried, almost like in a unique shape. Let's just call it that, almost like chicken sticks. Basically, it is the equivalent of Satuli Canteen at Animal Kingdom's Pandora: The World of Avatar, which is a very celebrated quick service restaurant because it offers unique food items, somewhat healthy items, and again, it's Naki Bay 7, you get healthy and unhealthy items, but they're served up in unique ways, like everything else that's there. Even their kettle corn at the kettle corn stand is different than what you get anywhere else at Disney or anywhere else for that matter. Number 5, big ticket shopping experiences. Now, one of the things that people like to make fun of when they like to basically blast Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is that Disney is charging $200 to build a custom-built lightsaber. Or $100, you assemble, you piece together a droid, and you pay $100 to take that home with you. So, these are not cheap items, and I get it, but they're very popular, and they are unique experiences. This is not just buy something, head to the register, and cash out. This isn't the mall. You actually have an experience where you actually walk through the experience of building the lightsaber, finding the exact lightsaber. And yes, sort of similar to what Harry Potter does with their wand ceremony at Ollivander's. This is sort of the same thing, except more intense and obviously more bigger ticket items, since none of the wands are $200 at Harry Potter World. And you do get the experience, and you also, beyond these two items, every store has some unique items, and you can actually go around. It looks neat. The people that you engage with, they all have this culture, this language that they use. They're all trained to be as if they are from this specific outpost Batu. And it's a very cool thing that you just engaging with the shop owners. It is not your typical shopping experience. So even if you don't like to shop, window shop, because it's cool in many facets. Number 6, an empty Star Wars is a Galaxy's Edge Jedi mind trick. So once you're there, you realize that this is a massive space. These are 14 acres, and obviously while a lot of it is sort of show buildings and back of the house stuff that guests will never see, there are very wide walkways. It's not a tight stretch place where you're like crammed, even if the place is full. So there are many places to explore, and it does feel like it's emptier. But more importantly than that, Disneyland and Disney World did two things during the opening of each Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which sort of, masquerade the true success of Star Wars. What Disneyland did is that for the first 3.5 weeks, so basically from the end of May to mid-June, they made everyone make a reservation to experience Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So only the people who made reservations, these reservations sold out within an hour or two. They were free, but you had to register them within 2 hours back in March, 2 months before it opened. So for the first 4 weeks of it, 3.5, essentially 4 weeks, essentially the whole fiscal third quarter for Disney that ended in June, this was through June 24th, June 23rd really, guests needed to have this reservation to go in and do it. So you already had deflated numbers there, and people weren't going to Disneyland if they knew they couldn't get in to see Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. The real number will be in the next quarter. And again, it's anecdotal evidence says that it's not necessarily a big spike in there, but let's wait till we start getting these numbers over time. In Disney World, they did something different. They did not have this reservation system. They said, all right, everyone could come in, explore it. But one important thing that is sort of skewing the perceived crowds at Disney Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is that it's open for the first 2 months through early November, opening 3 hours early for guests staying at a Disney World Resort Hotel, which first of all encourages people to book people at the Disney Resort Hotel, but more importantly, it stretches the operating hours of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So by the time you're showing up at the park, if you did not stay until you get there at 9 or 10 o'clock, there have been people there that have been at the park, staying at one of the Disney resorts, been there for a couple hours, and they're already heading out. So you're getting a much larger flow of people, more turnover there than you would in more other places because it's open so much longer. Number 7, ARPU. Now, ARPU is not some droid, it's not ARPU D2, it's average revenue per user. And this is a metric that a lot of companies do, mostly the subscriber services, how much money they're making per person. Let's talk about this in Disney terms. We know that Disney has been raising ticket prices. They do it every year. We know that Disney has made big jumps in their annual pass prices, and they started blocking people during certain times just to make it, more selective during the peak seasons. So not only do you have the fact that people are paying more to get into Disney World and Disneyland, they're actually now have these experiences such as the $200 lightsaber, the $100 droid. If you think about it, if just 1% of the people buy that $200 lightsaber, average revenue per user is already going up by 4%. So, by 2%, by $2 rather. So, $2 per person if one out of every 100 buy a $200 lightsaber. So that's increasing average revenue per user. Tack on the fact that people there are going to be spending money at the Blue Moat. At Okaz Cantina, where the drinks really start like at $15 and up, there's a lot of money being spent once people are in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So even if they only get maybe a third, a half, or 3/4 of the audience that you figured they would be getting, Disney's making a lot more money than if those people were anywhere else. Probably because they're investing a lot of money and spending a lot of money in these unique experiences that Disney created. So we can look at attendance figures, and that is just part of the story. It's important to view this as a complete business, and that means if you can have 10 people paying $20, that's the same as having 20 people paying $10. And when you're thinking no, because there'll be 10 less satisfied people, at the end of the day, the other 10 may be satisfied that did go because there were fewer crowds and more spaced around it and shorter lines. So the numbers add up. It's not all about attendance. It's average revenue per user as we get people through the gate. So RevPAR. So finally, number 8, expansions evolve. Now, it's easy to dismiss Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and I'm not a Star Wars purist, but I have many friends that are, and I know where they come from. Sorry about that. They do not like how Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is basically forgetting the original franchise. Almost as what Disney has done by dismissing George Lucas's desired story film, conclusions, sort of let that go and taking their own narratives with it. So outside of Chewbacca right now, you really don't have much of a presence, and the stormtroopers that walk by, you really don't have much of a presence that's actually, reminiscent, harks back, for the nostalgic people who want a taste of the first original series. That said, Disney doesn't make these parks in a time capsule. It's not a vacuum. It's not something you can't touch. Everything changes. When Epcot opened, it was basically barren of any Disney characters, and even Disney franchises were not there. It was you were in a science area in the first part with Discovery, like Earth and seas and stuff like that, or you were exploring the World Showcase with different countries, experiences of different countries. That's all it was. And while there were people that loved that, attendance did not truly pick up until they realized people want to take pictures of Mickey and Minnie in different country outfits. They do want to experience things like the Frozen ride, or upcoming soon, the Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster. So it evolved to the point that it incorporates some of the stuff that people want, and Animal Kingdom, to a lesser extent, but still a very important extent, didn't do that as well. When it first opened, there was no Everest roller coaster. There was no Pandora, the World of Avatar. It was a place with a very few rides and a lot of animal exhibits and a lot of sun, a lot of outdoor waiting. And especially in Florida where it can get hot, Disney's Animal Kingdom realized, hey, maybe we should add some stuff to covered and make it actually add a sit-down restaurant, which they did not have at the opening. You had to technically leave the park to go to Rainforest Cafe to experience a sit-down restaurant. Now they obviously have 2 sit-down restaurants inside the park. So there's a lot of things to keep in mind, but between the Rise of the Resistance opening soon, Blue Milk taking off, Okaz Cantina being a hit, the unique food items you can get at Docking Bay 7, at Ronto's Roasters, the big ticket shopping experiences if you built the lightsaber at the workshop or you build a droid. Number 6, an empty Star Wars. It's not empty, folks. People are just hiding. And the cool people you can meet along the way. An average revenue per user and the expansions involved. These are the top 8 reasons why Disney World's Star Wars Galaxy's Edge will not be a failure. Smooth Pies, All Things Florida, top8.com, out.